And it looks like we are live. Okay. Let's see. Is there sound coming through? Okay. Yes. Yes. Check, check. Check, check. Okay, no echo. Okay, no echo. Oh, so, okay. Gotta mute my stream. And there. Okay. Oops. All right. Okay, so I'm just kind of getting things worked out here. I was always having trouble getting Zoom working with OBS to stream here. So right now I see myself 3 times, which is kind of weird. But welcome. This is third week now. I've been doing this kind of talk show, open discussion, AMA, whatever you want to call it, about entrepreneurship. And so we'll give it a little time for some people to show up and see how it goes. Anybody that wants to join, you're welcome. Hop in the Zoom. You'll be on screen. Although I think I have it set. No. So if you don't put your video on, you will not be on screen. So that's good. I have it set. Okay, now for showing a speaker. And I think I have the sound running correctly, which has been a pain. So I've got, and I'm trying not to have it come through my speakers to interfere with the mic. I'm not an audio guy, but I'm learning. So I have my Zoom audio output going to these, which is connected to my mic. And I have OBS desktop audio set for the same thing. So what should be coming through is the same thing that is in Zoom, if it all works out right. Of course, if nobody shows up to Zoom, then it doesn't really matter. I have an alternate, just my regular camera, kind of still working on placement, but there's that. Anyway, so we're getting there. Yeah. Oh, I should make a note. Today is officially my last day as a professor. Yay. So, oh yeah, that's right. Now I don't remember why I did this, but okay, that's all blank. Do I need to change that? Maybe not. But I have, just in case, I have my phone also in on the Zoom call. So, anyway, put this over here. There. Okay. So, still playing around with the title. The Doctor is in. I'm not sure I like it. Obviously, it's playing on the fact that PhD, I've had people call me Dr. Hansen for 16 years now. Well, okay, 15. I started as an instructor ABD, or what they call all but dissertation. So yeah, my first year working at the college, I was living in a new city in a different state, South Carolina, um, teaching courses for the first time, uh, a bulk of courses that were first time for me teaching them, while also trying to finish my dissertation. It was a busy year, and honestly, I never got caught up. I was behind since day one, and just always felt kind of overwhelmed with everything. But enough about that. Um, hmm. Showing viewers, but I don't see who's here. Other than some bots. So bots, you're going to learn some entrepreneurship. First thing you should know, bots, is know your customer. I know I've said this a million times. Customer in this case is all the channels you raid into, or not raid into, but you do sit in. And most people don't care or want you there, and a lot of people block bots because who knows what the hell they're doing. So, okay, yeah, just noticing now with my phone also, I'm seeing myself 4 times, and they're not all lined up because there's a little bit of delay from myself here on this screen with OBS and Zoom, and then over here I've got what it looks like online, and it's always a little bit delayed. But that's okay. I'm used to that. Anyway, so week 3. I haven't decided on a topic yet. I just kind of wait and see what's going on. Actually, you know what I was going to do? Let me see if I can pull it up without messing things up here. So, Reddit has a questions, entrepreneur questions Friday. So let me go see what kind of questions people had most recently. All right. Why do people think YouTube can't be a long-term career? Because everything's always changing. It's just that simple. Nothing is a long-term career, no matter what you do. If you go into anything thinking that that's going to be the rest of your life, then you're mistaken. That's why for years now I've been trying to push the idea of teaching what they call soft skills, creative thinking, problem solving, systems thinking, stuff that involves thinking. Of course, there's communication, ability to speak without saying all the time like I do, and that sort of thing. Anyway, those are transferable skills. So whatever you do for those of you who are not yet in college, or you're in college, or you're thinking of going back to college, what I always recommend is just pick a major you like, and if someone else is telling you, your parents, whatever, that you need to major in business or something like that, just get a minor in it, or vice versa. Do the business major and then minor in what you're interested in. You're going to get much more well-rounded education. It's going to prepare you way better for the future. Okay, another question. Started my business not 6 months ago, and I have an opportunity for putting my product in a store. I don't know how to weigh the pros and cons. Simple, kind of, or I should say oversimplification. There's a trade-off between obviously selling directly yourself through your website versus going through any kind of store, online, in person, whatever. The trade-off is the basic revenue formula, which is price times quantity. So, sell by yourself through your website, you can charge a higher price, essentially, right? Because you're not, you get the full price of whatever you're asking. So you're selling a widget for $10, you get $10 from every sale, right? The problem is you have very limited reach, so your quantity is going to be very low. So you might make $10 per sale, but you might make only 10 sales. So $100, right? You get into a store. Now, depending on how many different layers of distribution there are, there's a cut all along the way. Kind of a rule of thumb is, take whatever price it's going to sell for and expect to get like a third of that. So, or a quarter. It depends. We'll say a quarter because it's easier, right? So it sells for $10. You get $2.50 for it, but you might sell 100 instead of 10. So, selling yourself, you sell 10 things, $100 revenue, right? Selling through a store, you sell 100 of them at $2.50, $250. So you're making more revenue. The question is, how much effort was it to make that all that extra product? And is your cost that low? Right? If it costs you $5 to make and you're only selling for $2.50, you can sell 1,000 of them and you're not going to make money. You're actually going to lose money. You're essentially paying people to take it. So knowing the pros and cons is understanding what your costs are, what kind of revenue you can make, and just your understanding again of the market. I can't stop expressing the importance of understanding a market, no matter what you're selling. Part of that is understanding what people are willing to pay. Right. So I said $10 is a example. Sell it $10 online, $10 in a store. You're going to get less per item selling in a store, but you can sell more items. So if it's something that you can make for pennies and you can sell for $10, go for the stores. Why? Because they advertise for you. They have the customer base already to bring people in to buy your product. All right. Airplane going overhead. We are close to Midway. Anyway, so there's a lot of things that go in. So anyway, I'm just kind of like going through Reddit and looking at what kind of questions people ask about entrepreneurship. So that's what I would say. Overly simplified. There's a lot more to it, but that's kind of just where you're starting. Like, what is it going to cost you to make whatever unit of sale that it is? That might be an hour of work in terms of doing creative work or something like that. But if you're talking about a physical thing, right, what is the cost to produce? And remember that in general, when you're producing something, you should be getting economies of scale. So while you might sell 10 on your website, you could sell 100 in a store. The cost to make them shouldn't be the same. It should be able to do it more efficiently by selling more in a store. So that adds another complication. So in a sense, you gotta understand math. Okay, want some accountability? Don't know what that is. All right, trying to start a small business consultant LLC. I see. They want to help small businesses. Here is where know your customer. What do small businesses need? and what can they afford to pay. Um, I always loved how, early on in my career, it was always a big idea to, hey, let's consult startups. Sure. The problem with startups is they don't have any money. So how are they going to pay you? Um, what I always recommend to students is, again, know the market, find where the biggest pain is. Wherever the biggest pain is, where people are going to pay the most, and use that to build from. So no, this is where understanding a niche and specializing, right? You're providing something better than anyone else for that small group of people. Sure, they can go buy a lot of other things somewhere else, but what you're selling them very specifically for them. Now, it be a small group, but they value what you're selling more. Okay, again, let's go with some kind of widget, right? You can have a widget that's generic, applies to anything, um, or you can have a widget that's specialized for I don't know, for a particular type of webcam. Maybe it's an add-on to a webcam. All right, so one of the things you want to look at is what are the different webcams that are out there. Who needs that the most? So, maybe what you're doing is you're making something that helps make adjustments to the focus. Some cameras come with focus, autofocus. Some of them don't. Those that have autofocus often are terrible. So you got to look at where is it that there's a niche group of people who like a particular webcam. It doesn't have an autofocus. That's what you focus on. Simple. And you can make it, even more specialized. If it's specifically for, say, using a webcam on Twitch, and there's a particular need for Twitch versus recording something ahead of time for YouTube. So in other words, live versus recording that you could edit later on. Again, more specialized, and you're more likely going to find a particular pain that the other cameras out there don't solve. Because every product out there has its trade-offs, right? You're comparing things, you're looking at this feature, that feature, etc., or this benefit, that benefit. And the one that has the most benefits for you, that's the one you're going to buy. Then you're weighing, the cost. Is the extra cost for this benefit worth it to you? So, again, what I'm doing right now is I'm just going through Reddit, looking at questions in the entrepreneur subreddit. Is anyone doing marketing in Asia? Yeah, I imagine so. Is seed money realistic in this scenario? And so I guess there's a scenario, SaaS company, SaaS is services and software. What scares me a bit, I'm reading here, is leaving my very secure, relatively easy job. I make great money, nice $275,000 a year, and don't ever really worry about finances. So they're saying, should I leave this job? That's part of entrepreneurship, right? Is you want to typically what people are do is going to keep their day job until the startup gets to a point where it really demands your full attention, and then hopefully you have enough money saved that you can live off of that, because you can't expect to make any money off your business for a long time. So the question this person is asking is seed money realistic? I'm not sure that's exactly the question they really want to be asking. Just just from skimming through what they have here. But yes, seed money is realistic if what you have is something that's a high growth. Anybody that's going to invest in a company is looking for a multiple increase. And I'm not talking about 20% increase. I'm talking about 3, 4, 500% increase year over year, where they invest $100,000 now, next year it's worth $500,000. That's what they're looking for. Okay, they're not looking to share your profits. They're looking to take their money or take their investment and sell it off to the next investor that comes along. It's going to buy, their part. It's more complicated than that. It's oversimplifying, but that's just the basic idea. Somebody investing is just like investing in like day trading kind of stocks, not the long-term investment where you're looking for dividends. What you're looking for in the day trading is seeing the price go up and sell when it's high. That's what investing in a startup is. So the first thing is to know what kind of growth are you expecting. This is again where you have to know your market. If you don't know your market, you can't make a good estimate on who's buying and how quickly more people are going to buy. You've got some data showing, all right, first month we sold 100, second month we sold 1,000, third month we sold 10,000. Again, you're probably onto something. But if it's only going up 100, 120, 150, 180, you're not growing fast enough probably. And so you're probably not going to get investment. And this is okay. If you got a job like this person here, making over $250,000 a year, there's no reason to leave it if you can make extra money on the side, and let that kind of grow over time and evolve. If you had that good a job now, and you leave, you'll start your own business, it fails, you can get a job like that again. So that's what I quickly suggest to this person. Obviously, to give a good answer would require a little bit more time and understanding, but anyway, let's see. Somebody advertising, okay, no. A legit ways to scale a business. Oh, well, that's complicated. I don't have a quick answer for how do you scale. The best way is that you have a highly engaged customer base that tells people about it, a word of mouth, which is unfortunately something you can't control. And I see students, they'll say, our marketing strategy is use word of mouth. Except you can't use word of mouth. You hope for it and hope that it's positive, right? But the first bad word of mouth that goes out there, that's going to spread faster. So relying on word of mouth can be troublesome. Again, this is where it comes down to knowing your customer. If you know your customers, you're working with them, you're talking to them, you're getting direct feedback, they're helping you develop your product. They're not going to hopefully complain. They're talking to you because they want it bad enough. They want to see it work. I see this in like chats on games all the time. It's like a game comes out, it's not ready, everybody complains, but there's a core user base that is there willing to work with clearly not a ready finished product because they know it's going to get better. And if the developer is very active in communicating, so whether they got a Discord or Reddit or both, and they're actively talking to people, giving answers, keeping track of requests and all this kind of stuff. People are going to much more believe that this is something that's going to do well, and they'll tell other people about it. So the legit way, scale business, that would be a good way to do it. Let's see. Looking for new ways, new strategies to grow my economic journal. All right, so just reading this, we allow entrepreneurs to meet, present their story, and start up. That is a terrible way to describe your business. We allow. Because the way that sounds to me is like you're giving them permission. No. You help them meet. That's a little bit better, right? But even better is you want to describe it from the customer's perspective. Entrepreneurs use our platform to meet, present their story, etc. That sounds a lot better. So just kind of listen to that for a second. We allow entrepreneurs to meet, present their story, etc. Versus entrepreneurs use our platform to meet, present their story. To me, that second one sounds a lot better because it's explaining, inherently how somebody uses it, why someone's going to use it, as opposed to the we allow. Because when I see that, what I immediately think is typical entrepreneur who thinks they understand a problem, goes ahead and builds something, and then puts it out on the market. Usually it's because people are afraid someone's going to steal their ideas, so they don't want to talk to anyone about it. And honestly, I understand, but that's just wrong. If your idea is easy to steal, it's going to be stolen. That's just a matter of fact. What's going to keep people from stealing your customers, not your idea? They can copy your idea. What you want to worry about is people stealing your customers. Right? So if you're not talking to your customers from the beginning in developing your concept, your idea is worthless. As soon as it gets out there, anyone can copy it because you have absolutely no customer base to grow upon. You have to convince them that they need whatever it is you're selling. So, again, all comes down to customer. All right, so I have my little celebratory drink here. Last day. If you missed the beginning, today is my last day in academia. 16 years as an academic, as a professor, being paid. What was it? 9 years of college before that. So that's been, let's see, I started going back to school. What was it? This is 1997 or 98, I forget. I think it was set 1997. So what is that? 25 years. 25 years, academia has been my life. Quarter century. Half my life. And I just walked away. But I'm happy for it because I needed it to do this. And this is one of the things that I've been wanting to do and I couldn't really do because grading took up all my time. If it wasn't grading, it was meetings or trying to do some kind of research. And research is, I can go into a whole nother thing about that. To me, it's a really double-edged sword. But besides the point. All right, let's see what else we have. How do you guys handle sleep? Now that's a good one. Something I'm still trying to figure out myself. I try to get help Um, I've got a lot of things that keep me from sleep, but um, some early solutions. If you're having trouble sleeping, melatonin. It's a good place to start. If that doesn't work, um, what you can try is I believe there are apps for this, but you're looking for CBTI. That's cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, and it'll teach you some basic tricks about how to sleep better. Go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, no matter how much you actually slept. If you're laying in bed and you're not sleeping, get up. Um, the general goal when I was going through the CBTI, the therapist always told me is you're trying to train your body to see going to bed as sleep, and you only get this certain amount of time to sleep and take advantage of it. Um, it's tough. It's tough to do, and so I went through this last fall. Um, I was only getting a few hours of sleep a night. I was napping throughout the day. It was really hard to keep up with my job, and that's when I tried to get um, a disability accommodation, which they denied. Well, they approved, but basically what they approved was what I was already doing, which didn't really help. This is part of what led to me leaving. Is just this complete lack of um, any kind of empathy for the faculty, and I really doubt that it's very different anywhere else. Because there's been a long-term trend. I know I'm going off topic here. A long-term trend in academia to replace tenured faculty with adjuncts because they're cheaper, just like any other business. Getting rid of full-time employees, replacing them with independent contractors. Um, so what you're doing is externalizing a lot of the costs. So externalizing means that what was initially an internal cost to you, like paying for, contributing to insurance and, um, paid time off and, um, retirement funds and all that, you're now getting rid of all of that, and you're just paying a salary. Actually, when you're not paying a salary, you're technically paying a consultant fee. Um, so it's up to the adjunct to figure out their own insurance, and time off just means no pay. So anyway, this is a trend in every kind of business. Um, so anyway, I've gone off track here. Let's see. Let's skip these promoted ones. Startup NASA feature series webinar. Okay. Not really a question. No projects, no revenue recently. I have a team of stack developers. We usually develop MVPs and web apps. We develop many startups, but recently my partner who takes care of sales left the office, and now my team mostly free, apart from some horse. They lost their salesperson. Well, yeah. Don't rely on one person to do your sales. Everyone should be involved. I don't care if you're a programmer. You need to get out there and you need to talk with people, right? If you're developing a product for somebody, you should know who they are and what they want. It's that simple. This is something that was kind of at the heart of the whole lean startup movement. It came out of Silicon Valley. Steve Blank, working with all these software entrepreneurs who would basically just sit in their room, lock the door, order pizza, and just code, then put something out and hopes people want it. But that's not how it works. That is so doomed to failure. Um, it's sad. So when I read this post here, somebody saying that they had a lot of clients, and then their partner who was doing the sales left. Now they have no clients, and now they're asking for feedback. The simple feedback is become the salesperson. You don't have to have a special talent to do sales. And I know talking to people is not a lot of people's favorite thing to do, but once you get started, it's not that hard. Just get into a conversation. I mean, this is what I do with these shows, right? I get in a conversation. So if you've watched I hate calling them interviews, but that's what most people associate. It's just a conversation. Get to know a little bit about who you're going to talk to, and then build conversation from there. Through that, you're finding out what their interests are, what their needs are, and you develop, that helps you develop whatever it is that they're looking for. And when somebody gets that personal attention, they're much more likely going to stick with you. So that would be my advice to this person who just lost their partner that was a salesperson, is to not rely on a salesperson. Do it yourself. One of the things that Steve Blank says all the time, if you ever watch his course videos, is get out of the building. He says it over and over and over again. Get out of the building. The information you need to succeed in a marketplace is not on your computer. It's not on your computer. It's with the customers who are going to spend their money. Okay? So get out there and talk to them. Okay, sure, you could do it on your computer using what I'm doing here with Zoom or anything like that. But still, the point is you want to get out there and talk to people. I know I seem like almost like a one-trick pony here with the answers, but it drives me crazy, but also reveals an opportunity. That so much of entrepreneurship, everything that's out there, is so focused on the product and execution, and not on the need, on the market, on the customer. And it's just, I tell my students all the time, if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. I don't care how great your idea is. I don't care how good your product is. I don't care if it solves everything in the world. If nobody's going to buy it, you don't have a business. Just simple. So you've got to get out there and talk with customers. All right, let's see. Next one. Launched a product review website 2 months ago and can't find a good way to talk to customers. All right, now here. I like this one. All right. My friends and I built it's a website here that scrapes the internet for conversations about a product to build a summary of what people think so shoppers can make better shopping decisions. Okay. Because they don't think people trust Amazon reviews. Of course not. I'm trying to iterate it, but having a hard time getting people to give us concrete feedback. So this is where it's a challenge to find the right people. And this is why I tell everybody to start with the customer. Don't start with the idea and try and find the customer. So this, they're on the right track here, right? They know they have to talk to customers. That's good. But they're starting with the idea and they're trying to get feedback. That's great. But what they should have done is gone out and talked to people about really what their problem is with feedback, right? Or with reviews, and what they do about it. So I have a basic set of questions that I have students ask all the time. You start with an opener that's really general, generic, something that just gets people talking and gets them thinking about it. And it's like, so in this case, it was tell me about shopping online. Or you might get more specific. Tell me about um, reviews, Amazon reviews, uh, or and then you can start, see what they say, but then ask, how do you go about reading reviews? How do you find out what you trust and what you don't? Um, why do you use Amazon reviews, or why don't you use Amazon reviews? And if you don't use them, what do you use and why? Um, so the key here is that with all those questions, they all started with how or why, and because those are open-ended questions. Because you want people to give you an answer that's more than just a number you can crunch, or something, right? You don't want people to be able to just say yes or no or five or yesterday or Chicago, right? You don't want these one word answers. You want conversation. Um, so open-ended questions. What I would tell them is actually, well, first of all, they're already using Reddit. Go to the right subreddit. I'm sure there's a subreddit for Amazon reviews, and go and read what people are writing there. Um, and then, start engaging in. Don't go and say, "Hey, we've got this product. Tell us what you think." You can try that, but that gets shut down pretty quickly, depending on what the rules are. Um, so you want to get engaged into the community, um, and then answer questions, ask questions, but not specifically. I'm making this app. What do you think? Um, you can just simply start um, with this idea that um, I don't trust Amazon reviews, and then just ask who else doesn't trust Amazon reviews, and what do you do about it? And then you get into a conversation, right? You don't have to have a long, open um, thing for somebody to read. In fact, you're probably going to get less replies on something that's a long um, initial post. So that's one thing I would say is go to Reddit, see what people are saying. I mean, they've already got a tool that is scraping conversations on the internet. So they already know the idea is that what people are saying on the internet is valuable. So rather than relying on your software that's going to scrape it, do it yourself, right? So quantity versus quality. You're going to get a lot more out of engaging, even with 5 people, than you will by getting 100 short answers. Because those short answers can mean nothing. But somebody who is talking a lot is going to give you a lot more information. If that's what you want, is more quality information, not quantity of information. Okay, one 5-hour interview is way better than a whole bunch of 5-minute interviews. You're going to learn so much more in that 5-hour interview than you will talking to 20 people for 5 minutes or whatever. I'm not doing the math. Let's see. I could start my tuition company, but want to expand my family. Okay, now that's something I really can't get into. Um, yes, having a kid while you're trying to grow a company, that's not anything that um, is easy to do. Just, I mean, I don't have kids, but I know that it's not simple. It's not something. I mean, when you're starting a company, you're devoting all of your time to it. It's your life. It is your baby. You don't have room for 2 babies. So if You want, what I would say to this person is if they want to have a child, have the child, but don't focus on the business, or get it going to the point where it's more passive income. You don't have to grow a business. You just need to get it to the point where you're getting a good enough revenue to keep yourself going. Um, so there's been some research on this growth versus profit basis on like who's going to be more successful in the long run. And those who aim for profit versus growth are going to more likely succeed in the long run. Why? Because if you're already making profit on what you're selling, you have money to keep your business going. Growth requires money first. It means you have to have money coming in from somewhere to feed that growth. And that generally means investment. And if you miss your mark, you're going to start losing that investment. You miss your mark a few times, you're going to start really losing investment, and it's just a matter of time before you collapse. On the other hand, if what you're focused on is, again, finding the high need customers who are willing to pay a lot because what you provide is something they cannot get anywhere else, and they really need it, they really want it, you've got that money coming in to keep your business going. You don't need outside investment. And when you do get to the point of getting outside investment, you have a much stronger case for them to invest because you have proven that you can make a profit, right? So a lot of companies that start like, okay, we just need to get, 100,000 users, and then we'll get to the point where we can figure out how we start making money. No, that doesn't work. More often than not, that's going to fail. Now, you might get lucky and, sort of win the lottery in that one of the big companies is just going to buy you up before you get to collapse, and they'll weave your stuff in to everything they do and make it work. But I call that winning the lottery because that doesn't happen very often. So anyway, so what I would say, with this person is just think about how self-sustaining is the company? How are you still in the growth phase, or are you at a point where you can consider an established business where maybe you hire a manager to take over some of your responsibilities and that you can then devote to spending time raising a family. That's what I would say. Either that or move to Europe and Scandinavia, and where you'll actually get time off for having a kid, not America. Okay, let me see what else we got. Gym classes VR closes $8 million seed led by Andreessen Horowitz. Okay, that's nice. Let's see, there's another promo. 10 free coaching sessions. My lifelong goal is to help people deliver 10 free 30-minute coaching sessions, either over phone or DMs. That's kind of what I'm doing here. So here's the thing with giving away a product for free. Don't. Whatever your product is, make it different from whatever you're going to give away for free, right? So what I'm doing here for free is different than what I will be developing as courses, as newsletters, whatnot. I'll use this to help me write those and develop those. I'll take the questions that people ask and use that later on to write an article. So if you're going to give something away for free, don't make it your product, because yes, you'll get somebody to try it, but more often than not, somebody that gets something for free is never going to pay for it. I mean, that's just kind of like the general, it's the general idea of freemium, right? Is that most people will use a product for free, a few people pay the premium. So this is an old example that used in some of the books that I've used in teaching, but Skype. Okay, it's an older model, but bear with me. The idea early on with Skype was that you offer free internet calls, but you're limited to 30 minutes, right? You want more, you got to pay for it. Okay, so this is where you get those few people that say, I really need this, I'll pay more for it. And that fee covers the cost for everybody else. So for the 10 free 30-minute coaching sessions, it's certainly a way to get people to try something. But just beware that ultimately what you want is to be able to sell a product. And it's not going to be 10% even of those people that you give away the free coaching sessions that will actually buy it, right? You're looking, 2, 3%, 5%. So you'd have to give away 20 free sessions to get one paying customer. So maybe you don't do 30-minute coaching. Maybe you do maybe what you do is you do 30-minute group coaching, right? 10 people minimum or something like that, right? Now, you do 2 of them, you've got 20 people, if you get 5%, there's one person from every 2 sessions. Whereas if you're doing one-on-one, it's, 1 from every 20 sessions. Anyway, that's just ballpark, throwing out numbers here, but that's what I would say. But it also looks like this is one of those people who they have an idea, they think they know what people want, and they're going to sell it to them. You don't sell what you think people want. You sell people what they ask you for, what they actually want. Not what you think they want, but what they're demanding from you. So yeah, getting something free gets your foot in the door, but you've got to be able to continue with that. So if there's, a coaching session, if that is if it turns out that's worthwhile and it turns into customers, sure. But if that's enough, that's like what you consider your product, you don't want to give that away for free because it doesn't help you. Let's see. So, somebody's giving coaching experience to entrepreneurs that doesn't quite understand what I'm trying to say they need to know about entrepreneurship. But that's the problem in this whole field. This is why I feel like I need to do something. Here I am. I'm talking about a problem that I think people need. So I'm not selling anything yet. I'm still interacting and learning. What is it people want? And so that's why I don't have any kind of product or anything out there yet. And if I do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put something up, and I'm going to run all kinds of tests. So I, do a free website, try different domain names, try different ads, try different messages, different prices, and then track and see what happens. Along the way, try to collect qualitative data. That is to get people to write something, not just answer a survey. Nobody likes doing surveys. Um, Getting somebody to answer something also is really hard. Um, but if you can say maybe get a few people to actually give you 5 minutes at a time to schedule a call, it's probably not going to get you a whole lot because, again, who likes that? But that's the kind of information um, that you want to get from somebody. So, in one sense, this idea of the 30-minute coaching is good because um, it'll get some it'll get conversations, it'll get feedback, and people will learn what's demanded. Just really quick, I want to double check, make sure. Yeah. Okay. I'm just double checking that the sound is coming through. Just realized I may have been talking for an hour and nobody um, said anything to say that, hey, you know what, the sound's not coming through. All right. So, um, what do you think about this business idea? I was thinking of launching a Discord server for selling and buying social media accounts. No. Um, I would. Well, okay. I should not say. Um, yes, thank you. Good. I would say the only feedback that matters is from the customers that are going to buy from you. What other people think of your idea doesn't matter. It doesn't help you. What you want to know is the customers, what they think. Um, so, what I would say is, if you think it's a good idea, launch it. Keep it as minimal as possible. Um, so here they're talking about making money off an escrow service. I, I'd be wary about that. Um, I'd think of some other way to do it, but anyway, just put it up and see what happens. Keep it as simple as possible, and figure out what the feedback is. If it doesn't work, move on to something else or try a different variation on it. Mix it up. The only way you know if something works is to try it. That goes for businesses. So, I used to, when students would ask me, what do you think of this idea? I would go on a long spiel about this and this and this and that. And ultimately, it just finally realized what I had been teaching them was to go out and talk to customers to find out. And so what I was doing was indirectly sharing what I had learned from prior students doing the exact same thing, because students always come up with the same ideas semester after semester. But they never believe me. So, and to, some extent, they shouldn't. Sure, I have knowledge and experience and all that. But what I say doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what customers say. So, in this case, it's a matter of trial and error. So, think about what is the simplest, cheapest way you can sell your concept. Right? So, this is where the whole concept of an MVP, minimal viable product. What is it you can sell that takes the least amount of time, resources to sell? And honestly, the simplest thing is posting a website, a landing page, and describing your basic product. Maybe have a little video, and have a buy now button, and actually take money. Then you have actually good feedback. Now, what you do if you do that and you don't have a legitimate product and you ask people for money, what you do is you say, refund their money, and say, we're just testing out this concept, but we know you're interested. What we'd like to do is talk to you as we're developing this, And then because you're so interested, you'll definitely be one of the first people to get to try, the alpha version or the beta version, when it's, or even, just the roughest version out there, that they can try. Um, and then ultimately, perhaps they're getting it for free, but they're giving you feedback, they're helping you develop it. So that's how you can test a concept. If you put it out there, people use it, it works. It's good. All right, let's see. What is one marketing strategy that drastically increased your revenue? Wow, 317 comments. That's a lot. But I'm not going to go through that right now. That's a lot to dig through. Let's see. Looking for people to test their app. Okay, that's worthwhile. 0 comments. 1 upvote 6 hours ago. It's probably not the right subreddit for this, right? If you're looking for event organizer to test your app, you should be posting in the event organizer subreddit, right? All right, so let's see. You have 0 hours. What's the best way to promote and grow your business? Like I said, there's a ton of tools out there, and I'll give a shout out to a guy that I've had talk with my class plenty of times. I don't know if he still is on Twitch. Oh my god, I'm blanking on his name. I know he does. He's on TikTok because that's the thing. But his whole thing is, he goes out and tries all of the no code free, well, not necessarily free, but no code tools that are out there, and makes things, and then shows you how he made it. And so, that's what I would say is entrepreneured. That's right. That's what his name is. Entrepreneured. I don't know how let me see. I'll type it in chat because I'm not sure I can even type it right. Nerd. There it is. Entrepreneured. Search for that. You'll find him TikTok, LinkedIn, Twitch, and he'll have lots of tools. And there's also plenty of other places where you can go and find free tools. So just do a search. Best retail payment processors? I can't really answer that. I don't know too much about that. Oh, here's it going. What do you do once you come up with a product idea? How do you invent it? Who do you go to? All right, I'm sorry for laughing at this because it's a common, legitimate question, but it's one that I've just been railing against for I don't know how many years. I don't know, probably at least 15 years now. It's well, maybe not 15, maybe 12. Your idea doesn't matter. I don't care if you have a product idea. Whatever it is, I tell you, it's not going to work. So what I do when I'm teaching is I have students go and research pivots. I give them a few articles about some famous pivots, like Instagram. Instagram's a huge company, right? Everybody uses Instagram. But they didn't start out as Instagram. They started out as Bourbon, Burbn, and they were a check-in app. For those of you old enough to remember, I think there was Foursquare, and even Facebook still has the check-in, right? But it was an app specifically for checking in, right? So like, we're here, we're at this place, and then you check in. But the way people were using it was typically at restaurants, and they were taking pictures showing their food. So the guys behind Bourbon realized that the real value of their product there was pictures. That's what people wanted. That's what people were using. So get rid of everything else and just focus on the pictures. That's Instagram. So whatever idea you think you have, forget it. It's just, don't get attached to it. I try to tell students, don't fall in love with an idea, fall in love with a problem. If you fall in love with an idea, what happens is that you try to sell the idea, and then you are going to suffer from all kinds of cognitive biases. Confirmation bias. When you hear something that supports your idea, you believe it. If it contradicts your idea, you discount it. You dismiss it. Then there's, just what people end up doing is that they take this myth of the entrepreneur that succeeds because they took their idea and they just stuck with it no matter what people said, and they made it work. And that just is not how it happens. It's not how it works. Sure, there are a few examples out there, but think of how many businesses exist in the world. 99.999% of them did not start with somebody saying, this is my idea, I'm going to make it happen. If they were successful, they started with an idea, sure, but they adapted over time. They changed, they pivoted to what customers are actually asking them for. So if you sell something and a customer says, hey, I really like this, but I wish you did this, but you better start doing whatever that is, because you have a customer, right? And you find more people that want that same thing. Pivot. That's where you go. So how do you invent it? I think what they mean is they have an idea and they want to make it an actual physical thing, and that gets really complicated. Present it to investor? No, you don't. Present an idea to an investor. They're not gonna. You need a lot more than that. You need research. You need something to show that this works. People pay for it. People use it. They're demanding it. And you just need the money to help make more of it for more people to have it. That's what investment is. Right? Investment isn't, I got a great idea, give me some money so I can make it happen. That only works for your family and friends and fools. So we talk about like the earliest investors in a business are friends, family, fools. They're the only ones willing to invest in an idea, because they don't know anything about what business really is like, which is why we include fools in that. So, all right, let me see. What are some business succession future plan questions? Inheriting their parents' business. Ooh, now that's a challenge. All right, my echo is just coming on the interrupt. All right, let's see. That's just getting into a whole different realm of things, so I'm going to stay away from that one. Let's see. What do we got next? By the way, for those of you who are watching, please feel free, jump in and Zoom if you want. You don't have to put the video on, so you won't show up. It's set up so it only shows anyone that's on video. Or just ask a question in chat. I'm happy to answer it. What I'm doing right now is just kind of skimming through Reddit and seeing what kinds of questions people are asking and answering them. I probably should put it up on the screen, but that's okay. It'd be kind of hard to follow along because I'm kind of scrolling a lot. All right, let's see. How to manage entrepreneurial ADD. Now that I don't have a good answer to. I'll skip that. I want to open a mini golf course. Okay, there's your problem. I want to. It's not about what you want, it's about what customers want. Is there a need for a mini golf course? Are people demanding a mini golf course? If no, then don't open one. It's that simple. So I have a story. So back at Charleston, there's a brewery called Frothy Beard. They've become quite successful, and I'm really proud of that because they originally wrote a business plan in my class. The funny thing though was that their business plan was for a brew pub, not a brewery. And I spent the whole semester trying to convince them not to do a brew pub because there's no demand for one. They just thought there was. They said, okay, there's only one brew pub in Charleston. We need another one. Well, who says we need another brew pub? I mean, a brew pub is really just a restaurant that also happens to make beer. So, they had to ask themselves, do you want a restaurant and make some beer on the side, or do you want to just focus on what you really like doing, which is making beer? Ultimately, they couldn't get a loan for the brew pub, but they were able to um, put together enough to get a very small brewery going, and then built up from there. Um, so it's not about what you want to do; it's about what customers want. And if you can't accept that, if you can't accept that what you're doing is in response to customers, not in response to what you want, you're going to struggle as a business. It's just that simple. You might get lucky. You might very well get lucky that what you want to do happens to be the same thing that people want. But that's not very often the case. So, what I would say to this person is go to the nearest mini golf course and ask people what they like about it and what they dislike about it. And, so if you find, for example, that they all live in this other town and have to drive over, and they wish there was one in their town so they didn't have to drive so far, then sure, then maybe you have potential for business. But maybe what the issue is yeah, there's this mini golf course over here, but um, there are some issues with it, or they don't offer something, or they want to have multiple things. I don't know. It's just, you know, um, find out what it is people dislike about that mini golf course and what they like about it. Keep what they like and fix what they don't like. That's how you do it. If you're really dead set that you want to do something, you have to find where there's a need. Um, and if there isn't a problem, if there aren't enough people that really care enough about whatever the problem might be, then you're not going to succeed. So that's my advice for somebody who wants to open a mini golf course. Let's see. A panel on angel investing. Okay, that sounds interesting, but that's not really a question. That's an ad. Slogans as social media handles. That's not really something that I would be able to comment on. Chances of selling no-code app with zero revenue. Chances are very, very, very slim. As I talked about. Okay, maybe if you have 1 million users, sure, you can sell it. But if you have no revenue, then forget it. Uh, you need to find the revenue. So what I would say, okay, so you have this app and you have a bunch of people using it. First of all, look at exactly what it is they're using. Right? So go back to the Instagram example. Right? What the guys at Instagram, Bourbon, looked at was found that most people were using the app to share pictures. So they zoomed in, they got rid of everything else and focused on that. So if, the no code app here with zero revenue, there's like one aspect of that app that's what 90% of the people use. Get rid of everything else, focus in on that, and then figure out what is the premium version of that. And if you can get 5% of people to pay a premium, you've got revenue. You get 1% of people, you have revenue, right? That's a big difference between zero revenue and some revenue. So, all right, so there's that one. 30-year-old software engineer looking to start a business. All right, so they're given all of their financial status. Great, but that doesn't mean anything. It's not about what you own, what you have, how much money you have. Sure, you can use that, but ultimately, when it comes down to what somebody's willing to put into a business, there's a famous study that eventually became a theory, and not going to go into the whole difference between what actual theory is versus how it's used in media. It's like it drives me crazy when someone on TV or a movie says, "Well, that's just a theory." You don't get to the point of being a theory without having a whole lot of evidence, having backed up a whole bunch of hypotheses first. But that's something. Anyway, different story. So it doesn't matter, what you have financially, to an extent. Okay, so going back to this theory, it's called effectuation, and this was based on a dissertation by a woman named Saraswati, who happened to have a Nobel Prize winning economist as her dissertation chair, which gave her great access to a lot of people. Her dissertation chair is Herbert Simon. If you know the name, you probably know it because he became famous for a lot of early writings and research on artificial intelligence. Anyway, so he helped her get access to be able to do these experiments with successful entrepreneurs. So I forget exactly what the criteria was, but it was companies that were worth at least 7 figures. So they built up a sizable business. And then so what she would do is she developed these scenarios and she had them talk through. So they'd read the scenarios and there'd be questions and all that, and what the participants were supposed to do is just talk out loud about what they're thinking, what they're doing. And across this, she found a lot of common threads that led to this theory of effectuation that differentiates expert entrepreneurs from novice entrepreneurs. So these entrepreneurs that were in our study, expert ones, were ones that had started multiple businesses and were highly successful versus somebody starting a business first time. Maybe they have one success that's just chalked up to luck. So the basis of effectuation is that, there's I forget how many principles there are. There's like a bunch of them. But one of it basically, it's nobody is going to invest more than they're willing to lose. Can I notice that? Okay. Ooh, wow. There we go. Okay. I just noticed that it had frozen up on my screen. So anyway, and it's freezing up again. I don't know if it's just me. So let me know if you're seeing the screen freeze, or if it's just me. But anyway, effectuation is, there's a lot of aspects to it, but basically what expert entrepreneurs do is they start with who they are, who they know, what they can do. And somewhere in there is this concept of affordable loss. They're only going to risk what they're willing to lose, right? So this person has 20,000 cash in emergency funds. Maybe they're willing to lose all of that. That's it. That's all they're willing to put in, 20,000. If they lose it, they lose it. Okay. Um, Probably not what their affordable loss is, but um, that's just one aspect of it. In terms of the financial aspect, is don't put anything in more than you're willing to lose. On the other hand, you do need to put something in if you think you're going to get investment. I see people, talk about like, I've got this great idea, but I'm afraid to put money in it because it might lose money. So I'm hoping to get investors. And it's like, okay, if you are not confident enough in your what you're doing that you're going to make money and you're willing to invest in it, then the only people you're going to get to invest in it are idiots, suckers, right? Fools. Uh, this is where the friends, family, fools comes in, right? Um, you need to be invested in it, not just because it shows that you believe in your idea, but you need to have what they call skin in the game. That is, if you lose, if this business fails, you're going to feel it. You're going to suffer. And if you're risking, say, your home to make this business work, you will do everything you can to make the business work. If you went out there and you're on other people's money and it turns out, hey, it's not looking very good, boom, you walk away. The investor's out of money, right? So it's kind of going all over the place here, but if you're going to expect anybody to invest in your business, you need to have skin in the game. You need to have your assets at risk because that is a motivator. And you combine that with falling in love with a problem rather than an idea. You're going to find whatever it is that solves the problem rather than whatever it is that's going to get people to buy your idea, right? If you're going to solve a problem, you're going to try lots of solutions. It doesn't matter which ones don't work, right? You're not attached to them. There's this saying attributed to Thomas Edison, but I looked up, there's no actual evidence that he said it, but it's a nice quote. It's, I haven't failed, I found 10,000 ways that don't work. And that's something I always try to get across to students is it's not failure. The only failure is not learning. And it could be just simply learning what works and what doesn't. That you try this, it doesn't work. You learn something. That solution doesn't work. Move on. If you're attached to the idea, then you're going to take, and then instead of saying, all right, this is the wrong solution, what you're going to do is say, oh, this is the wrong problem. And you're going to be out there looking for the right problem to solve. And this goes to the adage of, if you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? You're trying to find that nail. You just got a hammer instead of saying, oh, you know what, this thing needs a screw, not a nail. And that's funny because this is our porch here. One of the comments of the inspector today was that, why did they use nails instead of screws and putting these boards together? These nails are going to pop out. Anyway, so again, solve a problem, don't sell an idea. Let's see, moving on. Side project I built, which contains Web3 landing pages, design examples. Okay, I don't know what this is. I'm not going to click on it. Need help from startup. I've been foolproofing a business idea for over a year now and have final POC. Obviously, it's not people of color. I'm not sure what POC is in this case. I'm, however, technically challenged and would appreciate help from the community. Okay, then it's not a foolproof idea if you have. All right. You don't have a solution. You want to find it. I see this so often with business students. This is why business students make terrible entrepreneurs. Um, if you can't build your solution, you don't have a company. People are too attached to this, that the idea is something they own and have rights to, and is the basis for why other people should give them something. And it just is not how it works. And this goes back. I mean, the founding. One of the first things that this country started was the idea of a patent. So you can actually go back and look at patents from, the 18th century. It's kind of neat. Um, but in the general rules of a patent, um, I forget what there's three requirements. But one of them is basically it has to work, right? You can't protect an idea. You could protect a design, right? And design could be just like how it looks, but also how it works, right? And if you don't know how it works, you can't protect it. So this whole concept of foolproofing a business idea, but you don't know how to build it, means you really don't have anything. I tell students, like, all right, think about it this way. If you were Ford Motor Company and you didn't know how to build a car, do you have a company? No. Okay, maybe you know how to sell cars, but you're not Ford Motor Company, right? Ford Motor Company makes cars. If you don't know how to make them, it's not your business, right? So, yeah, this is something that always drives me crazy. That they're just not going to get anywhere. Business idea, a magazine for younger generation. Oh, I just hate this whole thing of generations. And we were talking about this weekend about generational differences, and honestly, they're not as meaningful as people put them up to be. It's honestly, generation is only a little bit better of an explanatory variable than your birth sign, which means very little. um, sure, when you grow up, you have different influences, and that does impact you, but that doesn't define you and define your needs, right? What defines your needs is who you are, and you are not your generation. You are not a demographic. Your demographic doesn't define you. How old you are when you were born does not define what your needs are, what you like, what you experience. Sure, it sets boundaries, right? So if you're like me, Gen X, you didn't grow up with the internet. Just that's a fact. But that doesn't define what my needs are. I'm quite adept, I think, at the internet, right? More so actually than my students. They don't know how to do a damn Google search. I mean, seriously. So, yeah, this whole generation thing is just no. Um, don't don't define people by their demographics. Your demographics don't define you. When you introduce yourself to somebody, for example, do you say, "I'm a 32-year-old single female that lives in an apartment"? No. You tell people what you like. That's who you are, right? So anyway, don't base a business or anything on a demographic, and generation is a demographic. Okay, so someone asking about their thoughts on a website. I'm not going to go into. I'm not going to click on any. I'm not going to click on any websites in here. Just looking at questions. Okay. Okay, there's just kind of a summary, interesting, of what happened last week on social media. A lot of tech stuff about Google. Skip that. Can you suggest any tools for email marketing automation? Um, there's a lot of them. Just, I'm sure somebody's got some good comments, but um, when it comes to anything, there are going to be a lot of variations. And so the key is figuring out which ones, what it is that you need, first of all. What is it that you need the most? And then look at who provides that the best. And then start looking at the other things, right? Um, so it comes a game of trade offs, right? Um, no product out there is ever perfect. But that's where the niches come in, right? Because no product is perfect, you're more likely going to have some people that really need this thing over here, these specific attributes, these specific features that the other ones don't all combine, right? So this one does really well at A and B, this other one does really well at F and G, and what you need is A and F. So if you can't use both of them to get the A and the F, then there's a niche for you. Anyway, that's an aside. Where are we at? Okay. Will this business grow, or should I spend money on college to secure my future? Oh, actually, and they wrote collage. Well, I mean, you know, if you want to spend money on a collage, good luck. You want to spend money on college? I'm not honestly sure that it's worth it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend people spend money on a college education these days. It's expensive. Um, what I've seen from the inside is so many universities are just diploma mills. Now they'll complain about other places that online that are really diploma mills, but honestly, most universities are. Why? Because they're focused on graduation rates. So what gets measured gets managed, right? Graduation means diploma. If what you determine your success is the number of people who graduate get diplomas, you're going to focus everything on getting more people diplomas. Therefore, you're effectively a diploma mill, because that's how you measure your success. Now, if you say measure your success in terms of the impact your university has on positive social change, that would be something completely different. And it wouldn't mean necessarily having a degree. And that would really completely change what education is about, which I would love to see. Um, I have a list of a bunch of articles that I'm proposing for an online publication called oh my god, I'm forgetting. Anyway, it's a place for academics looking for jobs, and so one of them is, what's the future of education, and or does the degree really matter? Because it's been a long time thing. People always say, you got a degree, but it doesn't mean anything because when you go on a job and you're going to learn how to really do what you're doing. All a degree really says is that you know how to get through and learn some things. But honestly, it's not even most of the time really learning anything. It's you've learned how to take exams, which means that you've learned how to maximize your short-term memory, to regurgitate knowledge, find the right answer in a multiple choice, right? It's not know the right answer, it's find the right answer. Because a lot of times you can know absolutely nothing about a subject and still you can get a B just because of the way questions are written. If you understand how they are written, you can usually find what the answer is. And having done that for a long time, working with a professor that used textbook written questions. They're terrible. Oh my God, they're bad. I always ended up rewriting most of them. Because I mean, like, they just give away the answer, right? It's like, okay, here's a question. There's four possible choices. Three of them are four words. One of them is 10. Which one do you think is the right one? Duh. It's the one that says 10 words. Um, why? Because it's really hard to come up with a 10-word fake answer. But it's really easy to come up with a 3 or 4 word fake answer. Um, so, once you start learning these basic things, you can start to get A's on exams without learning anything. So that's why I think, honestly, college education is not. I should clarify. It is worth it in the fact that there's still a whole belief in the system, right? Um, it's honestly um, it's honestly a faith-based system that there is faith in that schools have taught you something and you've earned that diploma, where in reality is you haven't for the most part. Um, I see good students that don't finish college, and I see students that in no way deserve a college degree graduate with honors because they know how to manipulate the system. So, anyway, um, this is answering the question: should they spend money on collage to secure their future? Assuming they meant college. And I would say no. I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't. What I would suggest, if they're thinking about it, is start with community college. Um, you're going to get more bang for your buck that way, right? You're going to start to see what college is like. Um, you have credits you can transfer over. And maybe what you end up doing is you just get an associate degree. Um, 2 years of college is really maybe all you need. You don't need a 4-year degree or a master's degree. Um, honestly, there's hints of a movement um, for college to move more towards credentials as opposed to degrees. That is, you accumulate certificates, credentials, right? You become certified, right? So a lot of people out there, particularly in software, they get certified in one language or another, or whatever, or maybe they get certified in um, project management or whatever, right? This is kind of taking over a lot of what college education is supposed to do, and so there are some places that are starting to think about maybe college shouldn't be about getting a degree; it should be about accumulating certifications. Um, one of the people that applied for the dean job where I just left, that was one of his things, was the idea of more certifications. He didn't get hired, unfortunately, but I don't work there anymore. Yay! So it doesn't matter. All right. Is anyone struggling with taking notes? Okay, this is funny because one of the things that I love to share with students is this video from an old Google I/O conference. So it's for Google developers, um, and it's the title of it. I'm not sure what exactly the title on like YouTube it is, but the title is "Perfectly Executing the Wrong Plan," and what they're executing is a note-taking app. And so it's funny that this is anyone else struggling with making notes? And the whole concept behind that talk at this Google I/O conference was that these two people created a beautiful note-taking app that nobody needed because they didn't bother to find out what people actually needed. So in one sense, all right, this is good. They're asking, does anybody have this problem? But once you start digging into it, because I've had a lot of students do this, there's a lot of tools out there. People are bad at taking notes, not because there aren't solutions, it's because they're not looking for them. If people aren't looking for a solution, putting another one out there is not going to help them. It's just that simple. What you're trying to find is people who have a problem, know that they have a problem, are actively looking for a solution, and not finding it. That's your customer. That's your perfect customer. And that is very rare to find. So, anyway, moving on. Let's see. 6 tips for small business to leverage social media. I'll skip that. That's really more advice than a question. How can I make money online as a teen without doing complicated investing in Bitcoin shit? All right. Great, but I don't, there isn't a simple answer for that. Using public relations to raise funds or sell a business. PR is always good to use. People call that free advertising. It's not. If you do it right, you're spending money to get somebody that actually knows what they're doing to help you with your PR. If nothing else, you're at least spending time that you would be otherwise spending at your job making money or working on your business. So it's not free. What it is typically more believable than advertising. So if you read an article about a product, you're much more likely going to believe it as real, honest, than if you saw an ad that's the exact same thing. Now, people have gotten a lot smarter about that, and they can spot an ad that's just or an article that's just an ad in disguise from a mile away, but it's a little better. What I've seen, what companies do in this, and this I think is a good idea. So one of the things that people look for is, if you go Google, what is the best XYZ? And what you'll find a lot of times is a lot of these lists of the top 5, top 10, whatever, is usually a blog post by a company in that field. And of course they're going to give themselves, first or second place overall. But they're going to give you, somewhat honest feedback on their competition. Realizing that, no product is for everyone. There is no one size fits all in anything, right? So it's a way to essentially get free traffic to your website. Is by writing articles that people are looking for, which is what is the best, hair clipper, right? And then so you find a list, and one of them happens to be written by Wall Corporation, right? They make clippers. They'll compare theirs with some other ones, and so it looks like a fair comparison. So anyway, that's something that people do in terms of, what was this? Using PR. Let's see. My service allows businesses to accept credit card payments for free. How do I market this? Just, all right. Tell people. I mean, simple. Build a website. Find what it is people are asking for. It's like if people are searching for who processes credit card payments for free, make sure you've written an article or 2 or 3 or 5 that deal exactly with that, and people will end up on your page and they'll find you. Let's see. Question. If only I did this a month or a year earlier or later, people excuse me. So there's a question about timing. People say timing is an important piece that can make or break your business. How does one know if you've timed it correctly? That is a good question. And this gets into some of the sort of philosophical aspects of stuff that I used to research about what is an opportunity. And there's a temporal component, like as that we talk about a window of opportunity. You know, a window opens and closes, and you can try and get to the window before it's open or get there after it's closed, right? So how do you know you've timed it correctly? You don't know. Um, but it's not an issue if what you're doing is delivering what people are asking for. Then you're timing it perfectly fine, right? If you're trying to push an idea, then yes, you have to worry about whether the timing is right, right? You've heard of the idea of, or this concept of, it's an idea before it's time. People were solving a problem that people didn't know they had, and they weren't looking for a solution, right? You want people to have a problem, know they have a problem, and are looking for a solution, and they're not finding it, or they're not finding an ideal solution. And that's where you come in. And this is where getting into Google Analytics and all this other stuff can help you, which is not at any my expertise, but it's something I'm planning on learning a little bit more about. Okay, let's see. Getting close to the end. Again, if you have questions, please feel free to ask before we run out of time and we go and raid. I usually raid Vegan and Black. We'll see. Anyway, let's see. A couple more. Looking for feedback on an idea. If you're looking for a gym partner, so here they've got an ad. And this almost looks like something out of my class. If you're looking for a gym partner, look no further than Fit Friends. The app is designed to help you find someone to work out with, whether it's a one-time session or a regular thing. With Fit Friends, you can search for people with similar fitness goals and interests and message them, set up time to hit the gym together. I have seen this idea over and over again in my classes. It's interesting because people come up with the same ideas all the time. This is why an idea, you don't bet on an idea, because honestly, everybody has the same ideas, and it's not about the execution either. There's a little bit of that, but what really comes down to is understanding customer needs. If you understand your customer better than anyone else, you are more likely going to be successful. It's just that simple, because your business exists for your customer. Business doesn't exist for you. Your business exists for your customer. Something you always need to try and remember. You exist as a business for your customer. So what is it they need? You provide it. It's not that you sell something and people buy it. It's that people have a need and you fulfill it. So here's the difference. Okay, so anyway, they have a type form, feedback. Interesting. Okay, I just want to see what comments are on here. This is interesting. All right. It's the same person posting over and over again. Links. So, yeah. I'm surprised that this is still up after 23 hours. But hey, let's see. How do I list down requirements I want from a candidate? Okay, so, wrong sub, but need your help. Company I work with is looking for a candidate to work for me. Okay, so that's HR. I don't have your answers for HR. Let's see. Your Amazon seller account has been deactivated. Okay, that's a technical issue I don't know how to solve. Best way to market an X service business. Let's see. Is it X just a fill in the blank, or I say I'm doing research about different industries. I would like to take answers from this sub about the question above relating to certain industries below. By the way, I already Googled most of them, and I'd like to see if the answer to the people in this sub like taking expert advice from entrepreneurs. So, okay. Kind of interesting. Let me see what. Okay, so. This is just way too vague. Um, let's see. I mean, they've got one person that's given them a halfway decent answer, but I'm not really sure what they're asking for here. It looks like they're trying to create a service that provides expert advice on different things. I don't know, maybe. And what I would do in any case is specialize. So they're all over the place. They got coaching, e-learning, gaming, logistics, junk, blinds, movers, roofing. So it's a combination of service, like pure service, like coaching, and then like home-based, service, like fixing and moving and that sort of thing. So yeah, I would find among this list of 17 things and figure out if they Googled it, what are the results? Which of these 17, when they Google it, comes up with the least useful results? That's where there might be an opportunity. Depends on how many people are actually doing a search for that. Starting a foundation or charity, that gets very complicated, because there's a lot of extra different laws on that. There are different forms of non and not for profit. So it sounds like they specifically want a charity, but then they say a not for profit organization. There's a difference between a nonprofit and a not for profit. So non-profit, what you hear, when people talk about it, they'll mention that they're a 501c3. That is the one single classification for a charity, whereas you can write it off on your taxes. Everything else is some variation of a not-for-profit, which means that any donations are not tax deductible. But with each, there are stipulations about what you can do and all that kind of stuff. And so it gets complicated. It's first thing is to understand what are all the differences between the different types of not-for-profits and figure out which one best suits you. And then I would always recommend coming up with a clear mission statement, because especially when you're a not-for-profit, you don't have the profit to help drive doing things. You don't have profit to allow for mistakes. So one of the things about having profit is it provides a little buffer in your financial operations, right? So you can make mistakes, right? So you're making 10% off of what you sell. If 5% of your product gets destroyed, you still have 5% left, right? You've got that leeway. If you're a not-for-profit, it doesn't mean you can't make profit, but there are different rules. In fact, you actually, you can't make a certain amount of profit. Anyway, you have less wiggle room when it comes to that. So really got to think about why you want a not-for-profit versus a for-profit. There are some things that are sort of in between that might be a good compromise. So if the reason they're wanting to start a not-for-profit or not non-profit charity if it's because they want to really express that what they're trying to do is something good, they want to protect it from, eventually a corporate takeover or whatever it might be, then one option is a benefit corporation, which is a legal entity within a state, right? So when you're forming a business, typically people will create an LLC, limited liability company. There's an S corporation, which is taking a C corporation and then taking a special variation of that. It gets complicated. That's why people go with an LLC. A benefit corporation is another variation, and in the Constitution that you write as that benefit corporation, you stipulate rules about social, environmental benefits, whatever, that are part of the company. So in other words, you can't get sued for not maximizing profit. And this kind of started going back from Ben and Jerry's. Ben and Jerry's had to sell their company ages ago because they went public and they eventually got sued by a group of shareholders that said they were not maximizing profit because they were trying to do good. They were buying responsibly and that sort of thing. That didn't work out, so they ended up having to sell the company. Eventually, this concept of a benefit corporation came about. It's now, I don't know, half the states, maybe, I don't know, I haven't looked to see. Benefit corporation as a legal entity is different than B Corp. So if you've seen this, it's a B with a circle around it, that is a certification. So that's a third party where you basically fill in this checklist to see if you qualify as a B Corp. Do you meet their standards? So a B Corp is kind of like LEED certification, if you understand, the green construction, right? So meeting certain criteria of a building to get, gold, silver, platinum, bronze status as a LEED certified building, right? B Corp is like that versus Benefit Corp, which is a legal entity. So anyway, that's one thing. If you're looking at just wanting to make sure that what you do maintains that integrity of responsibility of whatever is the sort of founding philosophy, then benefit corporation might work instead of a not-for-profit or even a non-profit, which becomes even more complicated because when you're a non-profit, there's a lot of paperwork you've got to do, and it's much more complicated. So you really got to be sure about all that. And one of the things with not-for-profits and nonprofits is that in the last decade plus, they have been moving away from being dependent on donations because, face it, people don't donate as much because there are so many people out there asking for money. If you've ever given money to an organization, it's just a matter of time before you're getting hounded left and right, mail, email, phone calls, text messages, asking for your money. It's an enormously competitive marketplace to get people to donate. So what a lot of not-for-profits do is they find a way to generate revenue that supports their charitable aspects. So an example here is Habitat for Humanity, right? So they build homes, right, for people that need them, right? How do they get their money? They have the Habitat Restore, right? So a place where people donate items from their house, and sell it. And then the place sells it as a charity, right? That's how they make their money, right? So and there's different ways you could set that up. I'm not sure exactly legally how they have that set up. It might be multiple different organizations, but who knows? Anyway, and you're talking about foundation, charity, nonprofit, not-for-profit, it gets really complicated. And ultimately, you definitely want a lawyer involved. And that adds to your costs. It just, that obviously complicates it even more. So, if you're going to have a lawyer involved, it might be worthwhile, finding a lawyer that is willing to do pro bono work, to make sure your charity, not-profit, not-for-profit, whatever, works out. All right. Anyway, it looks like we are at 2 hours, and as I mentioned early on, today was my last day as an academic, and I want to do a little more celebrating. I've got my little drink here, and so I am going to look to raid, and let's see. I guess I will go with my usual with DJ Vegan and Black. All right, so thank you for hanging out, and stick around for the raid. Let's see. Okay, I spelled right. There we go. All right. So thanks again. This will be on video on demand on this channel. You can watch it later, and tune in next week. I'm going to do this every Monday. So thanks.